Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Nayomi Charnelle Show. I am so excited. I have a very special guest with me today, and I just cannot wait to get into this interview. I am so excited. From architect to college professor to published author, and most recently, writer and producer and director of 3 of the most hard-hitting plays to ever tour the nation. I am so excited to be here with Mr. Michael Jones.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. All right, so let's get into it, shall we?
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Well, thank you so much for joining me
Thank
today.
you.
I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your time. So, you have had your hands in quite a few things, as I just mentioned. You've
Yes.
gone from a lot of different things, wearing a lot of different
Yeah.
hats.
Yeah, like a transition.
Yes. So I just want to talk about your writing. When did you discover you had a passion for writing?
Well, writing came as a result of going through some things in life. I was a military kid, so I, traveled all over, and I went to Atlanta, went to college in Atlanta, and dealing with Atlanta and being in the Black community and immersed in all the things going on, just came as a result of me wanting to do something in life. When I attempted to raise $1 million, $1 per Black person in Atlanta in 1996, that was an interesting year. And I kept a daily journal of what it was like dealing with that year.
Wow.
And after that, I kept a daily journal. I put it together, and someone said, you know what? You need to turn this into a book. And I was like, well, I've never written a book before, but I decided to turn it into a book, and one thing led to another, and it kept going from there.
Wow. And I will say, when I was reading that book, what I found most interesting was that it was so detailed, like down to the penny of how Black America spends the money.
Oh, yeah.
How we spend our money. And it was disheartening to read that we spend more money on what we look like. Clothing,
Oh, yeah.
Jewelry.
From hair weaves, SUVs.
Yes, we spend more money on the outer appearance than educating ourselves.
Yes. And that's unfortunate. Primarily, we have so much buying power in the Black community. If we only pooled our resources, we can revolutionize this world.
Wow.
We can change the circumstances that led us to be who we are today.
Yes.
We can do things and supporting each other, supporting businesses, supporting nonprofit organizations, and helping to uplift ourselves.
Yes.
And not having to beg for dollars in the streets.
Wow.
We can own our own.
Yes.
And that's so important for us to do.
Yes. And your book just talks about, it speaks to how powerful we could be if we just put our money together.
Yes. And they had that before. We had times in our period where we pooled our resources, but things came in to divide us. And unfortunately, we disappeared from the economic empowerment that we were starting. But it can come back again. All we need to do is start to love ourselves and believe that God has put us on a purpose for something higher than where we are today.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about playwriting.
Okay.
So when did you discover that playwriting was a gift?
Wow, and I wish I could remember the name of the person who put me on this journey. But like I said, I published my book in 2000 and did a book tour from 2000 to 2001. And someone came up to me and said, you know what? I like your book, but have you ever thought about writing a play? Because Black folks don't read. Oh, I didn't want to hear that. But I thought about it, and I was like, okay, that might be something. So I learned about little things. I mentored us under some people, read a lot, and I said, well, yeah, I can turn my book into a play. And just on a whim, I did. I came to Augusta, and I turned my book into Never Again. My first play we did in 2002 in Augusta in Imperial Theater, and had a lot of support with that, and sold out my very first show.
Wow.
And that
That's
was
a
like,
blessing.
wow, it was so incredible. We had the fire marshal come in there wanting to shut us down
Wow.
because we had people sitting on the ground, on the
floor.
carpet, watching it. And like, we can't have people, they got to find a seat. Like, we can't have no more seats. And he was like, well, we're going to let you keep going. We're going to let you keep going. And I was like, thank you. Jesus. And that play was so phenomenal. And I'm so blessed that God gave me the wisdom to videotape the play. And at that time it was VHS. We didn't have DVDs.
Right.
So I had a company videotape the play, the live play. And a guy sitting down there, I was walking around in the audience, checking on people, seeing how they were liking it. And the guy came in and was like, you videotaping this? I'm like, yeah. Well, how much you going to sell the VHS for? I'm like, I wasn't going to sell it. I was just using it so my actors can see what they did for the next show. He's going on a tour. He's like, well, I'll pay you $5. And he slipped $5 in my pocket. And I'm like, and the guy behind him gave me $5.
Oh, wow.
And another guy gave me $5.
Oh,
I got
wow.
$15.
Yeah.
I'm like, we didn't even finish with the play yet.
Wow.
It's still going on.
Yeah.
And I got $15 just that quick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I must be have something. And long story short, I got the VHS put together and started selling it.
Yeah.
And VHS turned to DVDs and DVDs. It's been a interesting journey.
Yes. It's just amazing how God shows you your gifts. And it's like you don't even know you have it.
Yes.
Until people see it and they recognize it. And a lot of times people will see your gift before you do.
Exactly.
You know?
And I talk about that a lot, that God sends angels to everyone. And when two people say the same thing about you in your life, we should know that, and God says, that two people or more say the same thing about your life, that's your calling in life. And we all need to believe that God has sent angels to us to guide us throughout this walk of life.
Yes.
And listen to the angels, because we all have a calling.
Yes.
And once you find your calling in life, life means so much more.
It does. It definitely does. So with so many gifted and talented writers out there, from Tyler Perry to David E. Talbert, and with so many different writing styles, what prepared you to become a playwright, and how hard was it for you to find your own unique style? Well,
I mentored under Tyrone Butler in Augusta, Georgia. Shout out to the Augusta Mini Theater. Wonderful group. I mentored under them and learned how to backstage, lighting, the sound, a wardrobe, and all that. So I learned a little bit. And that's what you have to do. You have to learn from others.
Yes.
You can't, build a new wheel. And you need to learn how the wheel was created and then resell it, basically. So I learned under other people. And what I really love is grandma. Soul food.
Yes.
All my
Something
plays
about grandma,
have
right?
a grandma in it, explaining the conditions of how we get to who we are. And from Never Again to 40 Acres Who Stole the Mule to When God Calls Answer, all of my plays have a grandma in it.
Yes.
And I love that part where grandma is the matriarch that keeps the glue together. 'Cause my grandma,
the glue in the family.
Everybody loved my grandma. Everybody went to her house and we cooked for everybody. I loved how grandma kept the family together.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. So I want to talk more about your very first play.
Okay.
As you mentioned, Never Again.
Yes, Never Again.
And I found it interesting that you wrote the play as a docudrama.
Yeah.
And you told us the story from slavery, and then you went back to grandma and the grandson, and, as she's explaining different things that's happened throughout history.
Yes.
And then you took it from slavery and then on up.
Yeah. It's basically a Never Again is a timeline of history where a grandmother explains the mental conditioning of slavery to her grandson. So, from, like you said, slavery and the Negro Baseball League, Vietnam, all the way up to where kids walk around with their pants down, and the little boy's like, "That's sagging, Grandma." And Grandma's like, "No, it means your jail. That's where it came from." Yeah. We need to know where things come from.
Right.
So Grandma is explaining all this history is who we are. We can't shy away from what we've gone through because what we've gone through has made us stronger to be who we are today.
Yes.
And once we embrace and love who we are as Black people, we can begin to love ourselves.
Yes.
Once you can begin to love yourselves, then we can go to the next level, which is unified prosperity. And we all can come together $1 at a time, basically, one person at a time. We can begin to love ourselves. And I guess that's the foundation of what I've been doing all these 20 years. I've been, writing and producing, touring stage plays, is basically to bring us together as a people, know who we are, love ourselves, and then come together and support one another. Bring each other up. Show how you made yourself a success. Reach back. Find a young Black male, young Black female. Mentor them like I was mentored to become the playwright I am, and now filmmaker. I was mentored, so I'm giving it back. It's kind of like paying it forward.
Yes.
And we all need to do that, especially in our community, because no one's coming here to save us.
Right.
We have to rely on ourselves and rely on the talents that God has given us. Each person has a blessing and a talent that God has given them.
And I want to know, because it's not even easy to put on a production. So how did you handle the stress of putting on a play?
That's the part I love. You don't have to pay me a penny. From directing it to staging it to getting the wardrobe to putting together the clothes to getting the lighting, the sound, getting the music, getting the props. My first play, I rolled a truck up to my front door and unloaded all the furniture out of my living room. That was the furniture on stage.
Yes.
I mean, you make do. We rehearsed in my kitchen in my first place.
Wow.
I mean, literally in my kitchen.
Wow.
We rehearsed all kinds of places. You have to find places.
Yeah.
If it's your passion.
Oh, yeah.
You have to find your passion. Once you love doing what you're doing, you don't worry about where the bill's coming from. You don't worry about stress. You don't worry about other things. You love it. So all the pieces, like I said, you have to learn your craft. Yes. And that's where the mentoring part, I'm not saying go out and just do it, but you learn your mentoring part so you know the pieces. Yeah, there are a lot of pieces to a puzzle on a stage play.
I can imagine.
Lot of pieces. Then you have personalities of different people. And you have to be able to talk to people a certain way to get them to understand, and I tell my actors that I'd rather them hate me before the production than hate each other. Because if they hate each other, they're on stage with each other. They're mad at each other, and it comes across. The audience is like, that didn't look good. But they can be mad at me all they want. But that gets the emotions flowing. And I love that part.
Wow. So you must have gotten bitten by the playwright bug for real, because you went on to write 2 more plays after the first play. Yeah. So let's talk about 40 Acres and Who Stole the Mule.
Yeah.
I found that to be an interesting title. That's such an interesting title.
Basically, it comes from fighting over material things. And I see that a lot in families, how families are broken up over, a diamond ring falls up under the grandma's bed after she passed, and everybody's fighting. They're like, the diamond ring's $10 million. Oh, now you got a family fighting over each other, literally, for that money. And that's a problem. So 40 Acres, Who Stole the Mule was based on a grandmother finally getting 40 acres and a mule for the family to date. And we know that 40 acres and a mule was something that we were supposed to have been given as reparations for slavery in 1865 when we were free from slavery, but we didn't get it. So I wrote it today. If we got it today, the 40 acres of land, that would be great, but the mule, who wants a mule? So they find out you can sell it for $10,000. And it's like, a mule? Oh, we gonna get that mule. So then you see members fighting on each other to steal the mule, sell the mule. And you see how that breaks up the family. And a grandmother, you know, don't want to get a spoiler away for anyone who wants to see it, but the grandmother mentors in the family, in the lives of all the family members, and bring them back together. So at the end of the play, they're all coming together and they find out what happened to the mule. So it's like kind of a suspense. Audience doesn't know what happened to the mule. They don't know which family member. So they're like, oh, she stole it. She stole it. No, he stole it. So it's kind of like a whodunit thing, you know, but it also gives the Black history concept, you know, that we know 40 Acres and a Mule is about.
Yes.
And it talks about material things. So that play was really good. We toured from 2006 to 2009.
Wow.
Many Georgia, South Carolina, and Fort Gordon, Botswana, and Alabama cities. And it was phenomenal. I love that part.
Your third play, When God Calls, Will You Answer?
Yes.
It toured from 2011 to 2018.
That was an interesting ride.
Yes,
Yeah.
give us some information on that.
That play came as a result of looking back through my history of the book tour from 2000 to 2001, 40 Never Again, 2002 to 2004, 40 Acres, 2006 to 2009. And then I started looking at this. I'm like, this is my calling. So my calling is being to write, produce, and direct a stage play and tour it from start to finish. I want to show other people how to find their calling in life too. So that's where When God Calls, Will You Answer came as a finding your calling in life. Because a lot of people don't answer the call, and God sends angels to you. Because one time, and you know, many people may have seen me throughout the Southeast, you know, selling my DVDs. Hello, how you doing? It's a gospel play I wrote and produced at the flea markets all over the Southeast. Oh, wow. And I'm starting to look at that in others, in other lives of other people, how God sends angels to you to speak to you, speak to your heart.
Yeah.
It could be at home. It could be driving in a car. You get a desire to, you know what? I want to save children. Or you know what? I want to help the elderly, or whatever God has placed, or I want to write a book. And those are the things that I wanted to bring forth from my play. Plays are in entertainment. Yeah, we understand that. Yes. But I want to do more with the ministry that God has given me. I want to do something from Never Again to 40 Acres Who Stole the Mule to When God Calls You Answer. I wanted to do something not just for entertainment purpose, something with a message to help guide someone in a direction. And we started touring from 2011 with When God Calls You Answer. And in the audience, after the end of the play, we go out in the audience, and talk to people. Yeah. And people come up to me and say, you know what, I want to write a book, but I don't know how to start. And I see, your message from the play, and I'm finding that might be my calling. And I'm like, okay, here's my number, or give me a call. Maybe I can help you, say a word or guide you in that direction. And a lot of people are scared of that calling. Yes. But the calling will come. It's whatever you love doing, whatever you have a passion for. It could be saving children, helping the elderly, whatever God has placed in your heart. He will place provisions that will allow it to happen. Yes. There's no way I could be doing 20 years of stage plays throughout the Southeast, 52 passenger tour bus, 40 or so people, camera person, light people, makeup people, all that, furniture from my living room, and all these things without believing that God had a hand in that. I don't make $50 million a year, but it's when someone calls and says, you know what, I see where you struggle. Here's $50 to help you on your way. Here's $100. Or let me cut your cost on the wardrobe. Or here's a friend that can help you get your sound or whatever for your play. Wow. Things happen. Yes. So I'm like, it doesn't matter what's going on before the play. We gonna still do the play. Right. Yeah.
So you are turning your first play, Never Again, into a motion picture.
Yes.
What made you decide to do that?
Wow.
Tell us about it.
Well, it came as a result of with touring with When God Calls You Answer. Our last show we did is 2018. And I worked from 2018 to 2020 to put together a 10-city tour in major market cities. We're doing a lot of smaller markets, for the many years. And I worked 2 years to put together that, started the tour in May 2020. And you know what happened?
Wow.
In May. So
Yes,
everything ended. So I thought, I'm like, wow, we can't tour. Stage theaters are closed and we don't know when they're going to reopen. So I sat and I thought, what are we going to do? And people started talking to me about, now we're in a Black History Me Too movement because Black history is becoming more relevant. And people started asking me to talk to them about 40 Acres and a Mule. And I started speaking and going to different groups and talking about 40 Acres and a Mule and what that meant, and Juneteenth, what that meant.
Yes.
So I started talking about it, and someone said, like I said, angels come to you. Someone said, you know what? You need to put Never Again back online.
Wow.
As an online streaming movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we did Never Again in 2002 to 2004. So the quality is not great, but it's, it's okay for that time. So I said, well, I'll reshoot it. So I rented a theater, to do it, in the theater and no audience. So we can just videotape, the show. And then somebody was like, well, you're going to put grass on stage and trees on stage. I'm like, yeah. Well, you know what we got outside? What? Grass and trees. I'm like, yeah. That makes more sense to do it outside.
Right.
Oh, half the scenes are outside.
Yes.
The Negro Baseball League, that's on a baseball field. Vietnam, that's outside.
Yes.
So doing it on the stage had less relevance. So then I was like, okay, we're doing it outside. Then doing a stage play outside didn't make sense.
Right.
And one thing led to another. It's like, why don't you do a movie? Because now things are much easier to go online with it.
Yes.
So it's just one thing led to another. I listened to the angels that God placed in my life to push me in this direction. And now we've got a full feature movie coming out. And I'm like, wow, this is I'm learning. I had to relearn everything or start learning everything because I'm a stage play guy. So I know stage play. Stage play, you do big actions on stage. I'm learning from the camera person and everybody else is telling me that you're in the pocket. It's about the face, it's about the expressions, it's about, close-ups. So I'm learning and I'm adapting to a whole different medium. And this is like so incredible that movies, and now I'm like, wow, next movie, I want to blow up a car. I want a building to fall down. I want to do some big action stuff.
Right.
I'm like, wow, I'm watching movies now. I'm looking at different action things.
Yes.
I'm like, ooh, I can do that.
Yes.
I ain't got no money to do it yet.
Not yet.
If anybody wants to sponsor, I'm open to it. But I mean, I want to blow up a building and do some big things like that in my next movie. Okay. So those things are like, wow.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait. So what's next for Mr. Michael Jones?
Well, Never Again is the movie that we're putting out.
Yes.
Juneteenth of next year, we'll have it out online, all over online for people to watch it on their phone, on a tablet, and on the TV.
Yes.
So all over the world. And then 40 Acres, Who Stole the Mule, I'm bringing that back as an online streaming movie.
Okay.
Then When God Calls Your Answer is coming back as an online streaming platform. And then my next play that I haven't written yet, I got kind of pieces together for it. It's called There's a Blessing in Your Pressing. And that, because I've been pressing for so many years, and there's got to be a blessing in it.
Yes.
So that's going to be next. And then I'm also putting together a film studio in Augusta, because I brought the infrastructure, lighting, sound, makeup, wardrobe, props, all that together so people other than myself who want to do movies, want to do videos and things like that, we can all do it in Augusta.
Yes.
We don't have to go to Atlanta, to Columbia, to Charleston to do stuff. We can do things here in Augusta.
Yes.
You know, so, because I'm an architect and I have a real estate background. So moving those skills, bringing them back together.
That's right.
Is what I'm looking at doing.
Right.
So,
and I remember TD Jakes did a sermon that nothing that you have been through shall ever be wasted. And everything that you've gone through, you are using. You are using.
It's coming back.
Everything that you've gone through, everything that you've experienced, you're using it. So we are so grateful for you for that. And let the audience know how they can reach you.
Okay. They can reach us on Facebook at $1 at a time. It's on Facebook, our Facebook group. Or you can go to our website, whengodcallsplay99.com. Or you can contact me at 706-294-1152. Or you can look on Facebook, Mike Jones.
All right. And thank you so much for that. And I am Nayomi Charnelle, and you have tuned into the Nayomi Charnelle Show. You can reach me on Facebook, Nayomi Charnelle. My name is spelled Nayomi. Or you can reach me on Instagram, evangelist_Nayomi Charnelle. Or you can reach me by email. And I am at flowingwellsmedia@yahoo.com. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you.